guys, this is Card Warriors Magic, and today I have a little bit of a surprise for you. Me and my friend Luke are doing a how-to card course meant basically for beginners, but there's still lots of useful information no matter what level of magic you're at. Basically, we're going to be teaching stuff like pinky breaks, false cuts, and basically things that beginners should know as they get into magic, stuff that's pretty fundamental to magic tricks. So to start off the course, I'm going to be teaching how to do the double lift today. So I'll show you how to do it, and I'll teach you, my bad, I'll perform it first, and then I will get into how to do it pretty in-depth because there's a lot you need to know. So if we take a look at the top card, it's the 5 of spades, right? If we take that 5 and put it here, give the deck a little bit of a cut, the 5 disappears into the Queen of Hearts. Okay guys, now I'm going to give a pretty in-depth explanation of how to do the double lift. So basically, first thing you need to know about the double lift is it will require a little bit of a pinky break. So what you're going to do, you're going to get a pinky break under the top 2 cards, right? You're going to take those top 2 and catch a little break with your pinky under there. Now this break, as you could see in the video, doesn't really look bad from the front. So that's the first step. Also, if you have a card on the table like that and you want to do a double lift to make them think that this is not the Queen of Hearts, you can just catch a little pinky break under the top card, set that on top, and then you'll have the pinky break under 2. So that's the first step. The next step I'm going to go over is basically how to get into the pinky break. So there are several different methods. For beginners, I recommend you can do a spread through the deck, so you can be like to the spectator, okay, there are all these cards in the deck. Then as you square it back up, you just take these 2 and kind of catch it. So again, it looks like this. Spread through it, take those 2 and catch it like that. I also recommend doing a dribble. If you guys know how to do that, we'll probably teach it later in the course. But what you do, you just dribble up until you get to the last 2 and you catch it. Or you can also riffle up, kind of like that, until you get to the last 2 and catch it. Those are 2 really good ways. A little bit more of an advanced way is to just use your thumb to spread over and catch it really quick. You want to do this part while the spectator isn't looking because they'll be like, why are you pushing over 2 cards? So you can just kind of casually talk to them, spread over those cards, and catch the break with your pinky. The last method, which is probably the most expert method, would be the pinky count. I'm not really good at it yet, but basically what you do, you count down with your pinky 2 up, and then catch a little bit of a break right there. That one takes a lot of practice, so I wouldn't recommend doing that right at first. I would recommend the spread or the riffle up. Those are probably the best 2 for the beginner. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is distraction. So when you do the pinky break, you don't really want the spectator to notice that. Obviously, you don't want anyone from behind to be able to tell that you're doing something, and you want to kind of look into the spectator's eyes or just talk to them, be really chatty. That way they don't notice that, in case they catch a little glimpse of the 2 cards while you're holding it, that way they don't notice that it is actually 2 cards. So you just want to figure out your own distraction right there. Also, what's really important is the way you show the pinky break. So the most common way would probably be like this. You show that to the spectator and you flip it back over. But for beginners, you guys might not feel comfortable with that. So when I started the pinky break, I would just kind of grab it and hold the 2 cards like that. It works well at first, but a lot of people will kind of wonder why you're doing it because it looks like a very unnatural grip to hold a card. If you get pretty good at it, I mean, it's okay to start with that. Then I would recommend going into something where you show the spectator the card like that. Even if you feel like they might look, they really can't. They can't really see the separation right there. The second thing about that is, yeah, you most definitely want to try to get into this where you just kind of slide it, and what you do as you do this, the 2 cards, as they might split, you just kind of push it against that, and what that does is it keeps the cards together while you do it. The next thing I want to go over is speed of the double lift. So you don't want to hold the card in their face for 5 minutes, because obviously if you did that, the spectator is going to eventually start seeing a little bit of like card split or something like that. So you don't want to shove it in their face and let them look at it forever. You just want to do it fairly quickly so that, okay, there's your card. Okay, now it's not. You just want to do it really quick. That way the spectator doesn't have time to think about what you did. And later when they remember it, they'll just be like, okay, they just showed me a card. Last thing I want to go over is, no, actually two last things. First thing is color contrast, and then I'll get into overuse a little bit. So as you can see with this deck, it'd be a little harder to realize that that's a double lift because the both sides are white. But for a deck like the Warrior Horse deck, if you look at it, a spectator's probably going to be able to see a more of a discrepancy between that because the back is completely black and the front is completely white. So you just want to be careful as a beginner with what decks you use for the double lift. I recommend using a bordered white deck with a white front. That's probably the best thing. Last of all, overuse of the double lift. It's a really great move, but I want you guys to be careful with it because if you start doing the double lift a lot, spectators will begin to basically figure out what you did there and be like, okay, you just took 2 cards. It's not that hard to figure out. So don't use this double lift all the time. Check out some of the other tricks on our channel because we have a lot of tricks that don't require the double lift, but some really good tricks use the double lift as a great effect, but just don't overuse it too much. So awesome move right there. Really fool spectators. It's definitely something you should know as you get into Magic. So practice it a lot. Just work on it at home or whatever. Just make sure to get it down really well. Okay guys, like and subscribe.